The Man with the Yin-Yang Eyes. Season 2. Episode 32. As soon as I saw that the situation was under control, I rushed to see how Big D was. Since being hit by Jack's car, I've always been paying attention but never saw Big D wake up. Now, I put his head on my lap when I'm next to Big D. I kept calling his name, but Big D didn't react no matter how much I shook him. My heart is very confused right now. Maybe Big D won't wake up anymore. Thinking of this, suddenly, my eyes sting. While I was still not knowing what to do, Big D's body suddenly trembled. Then he let out a small groan. Damn, it hurts so bad. I'm sleeping well, but why is my whole body aching like this? It turned out that after being hit by a car, Big D lost consciousness. Thanks to me repeatedly calling his name and shaking his body, Big D gradually regained consciousness. Maybe he was still in shock, so Big D didn't remember being hit by a car. Watching Big D wake up and slowly sit up, I couldn't help but cry tears of joy. Although the time when Big D and I were close together was not long, as a brother who had experienced many tribulations, I was very sad when I thought Big D would not wake up again. It's great that you woke up. I thought you wouldn't wake up again. If that's the case, then I don't know how to talk to Master. Hearing me say that, Big D was still in a lot of pain but still forced a smile. Hey kid, what are you saying? My master once told me that I would live a very long life. How could that weak car take my life? By the way, don't tell me you're crying, come on, when did you learn the sentimentality of women? Seeing Big D like that, I immediately protested. Who said I cried? Don't say nonsense. There is dust blowing into my eyes. After checking all over and confirming that Big D was not seriously injured, I immediately helped him up. You're so lucky. Watching you get hit by a car and fly into the air and lie there, I thought you were done. Although his whole body was still numb, Big D still forced a smile to answer me. Didn't I tell you, I'm not that easy to die. This time I also have to thank the fat on my body. I didn't expect a little bit of fat to be beneficial. While Big D and I were still talking, the sound of gunfire behind us kept ringing, and then I suddenly remembered Jack and his hostages. Something must have happened, so the police opened fire to control him, and Big D and I turned our heads to look in the direction of the gunshot. When I looked back, I saw the man held hostage rushing at Miss Valentine. The one who fired the gun was also her. It turned out that to escape, Jack pushed the man towards the police, used him as a shield for himself and quickly got into the car. After getting into the car, he immediately pressed the accelerator to reverse the car to escape. As soon as she pushed the man aside, Miss Valentine raised her gun and repeatedly fired at the fleeing car. Looking at Valentine's expression right now, it can be understood that she is quite angry right now. After running backward for a while, Jack's car immediately turned around and accelerated. Look at the scene of the car driving away. It can be confirmed that this is not the first time he has to escape in such a situation. Chasing the car were Valentine's consecutive shots, but they couldn't seem to make it stop. When Valentine fired the last bullet, the car was already gone. Witnessing that scene, Big D and I couldn't help but admire Valentine's shooting ability. Big D immediately said, I didn't expect that besides being beautiful, she also used a gun so skillfully. Hearing what Big D had to say, Valentine spoke up but didn't turn around. Stop talking nonsense. Do you believe I let you pass out again? Although Jack escaped, fortunately, the man was still not taken away by him. I immediately encouraged everyone. Don't worry everyone. Jack will definitely come back here to get the last element. It's not easy to find the right person. His witchcraft is almost done. Now he can't stop, we just ambush here and we will catch him. But at this moment, the police officer standing behind the man discovered that he was injured. He immediately used his hand to check and found that the man's finger seemed to have been cut by a sharp object. Hearing that, I immediately jumped. I guessed that Jack had done something before he escaped. I immediately approached to check. I immediately recognized Jack's purpose when I looked at the man's bleeding finger. This type of magic is used to control people, unexpectedly in a short time and amid the police circle. But he can still do this. This explains why he threw this man away so easily. Simply because as long as he successfully escapes, he will control this man to find him. After learning about the situation, Valentine immediately said, "As far as I can see, this matter should be left to the police. We will have a careful hostage watcher, making sure this man can't get to Jack's place." Hearing Valentine's opinion, I immediately explained, "It's not that simple. Basically, the police can't do anything about this. This spell, once instilled in the body, is very difficult to break. Although I know that finding the right person is not easy, it does not mean that it is irreplaceable. Once he can no longer control the hostage, Jack will definitely destroy it, which is not difficult to predict for a cold-blooded person like him." Listening to what I analyzed, Valentine suddenly understood the seriousness of the problem. She also understood that letting the police monitor this man would only make him die faster. For a moment, she didn't know how to handle it, just silently turned her eyes to me, waiting to see if I had any way to deal with this situation. To break the silence, I continued to speak. "Not only do you control the hostages to find themselves, sure, Jack will still send his subordinates to make sure the hostages can get there without any hindrance. It's worth mentioning that maybe they're not real people but will be dummies. They're basically unafraid of getting hurt. This puts the supervisors in danger. If that happens, casualties will be inevitable. So this is the most appropriate thing for the fat guy and me to handle." Hearing this, the three of us didn't need to say anything but shared a smile full of harmony. Because we clearly understand that only magic can fight against magic. No matter how hard people try, they can't solve it with their own strength. The reason Valentine trusts us in this is that she is the one who knows our abilities best. After many events in a row, I can now be confident that I have regained some of my initiatives. There will be the next action steps. I immediately got into action. I turned to Big D and told him to come to take off the man's shirt. Hearing that, Big D showed more enthusiasm than necessary, dashed forward in front of the man, and stripped off the shirt he was wearing. Seeing that, Valentine was a little shy and wanted to avoid it. Guessing Valentine's question, I immediately said, "It's okay. You don't have to avoid going anywhere. I just took off his shirt. I didn't make him take off his pants." For no apparent reason, the shirt he was wearing was taken off by someone else. The man was a bit shy. He didn't understand what Big D and I were going to do with him next. As soon as Big D turned his back to me, I immediately put my hand to my mouth. My aim is to use my blood to write a charm on his back. It doesn't break the spell through Jack's magic but still able to protect him. I quickly finished drawing the talisman on the man's back. This talisman acts as armor to help protect him from the forces of darkness, but it only has a temporary effect. With Jack's power, it won't take too long to break it. As for Valentine, although she had accompanied us on several previous exorcisms, she had never seen me use my blood to draw charms, so she was somewhat surprised to see what I was doing. Seeing Valentine's surprised expression, Big D immediately explained, "This is a form of protection spell, preventing the dark forces that are not human from approaching this person, because to become the last element, he doesn't need to be alive. So his life can always be in danger. This is only the first step. We must quickly bring him back to our place, where we can do the next thing." After getting ready, Big D quickly went to get the car to take the man to our house. At the moment, it is the safest place because there are full tools to fight the dark forces that want to invade. Faced with this situation, the representative of the police, Ms. Valentine, had to accept. Before leaving, I also said to give Valentine peace of mind. We will immediately contact the police if something goes wrong. As soon as our car left, the inspector spoke up. Why would you give them such an important clue? If something bad happens, it will be difficult for you to talk to your superiors. Still looking at our car, Valentine answered his colleague. You can rest assured, handing the man over to the two of them is completely reasonable. Only they can solve this problem. Mr. Remember the time I went to Thailand? In that case, there were many things that could not be clearly stated in the report. In short, the ability of these two people is not limited to just fighting. Temporarily do not mention Valentine and her colleague. Back to Big D's house, now we have arrived. Both immediately started to prepare everything. When we got here, it was already late afternoon. Both Big D and I understand that as soon as the sun goes down, Jack will take action, so if we don't prepare quickly, we won't be able to stop him from controlling the man to find him. After clearing the big table in the middle of the house, I immediately called the man over, told him to sit on it, and explained, "Don't worry at all. All we are doing is just to protect you. Now you lie on this table, do everything as I say. I will help you break the evil art in you." After explaining for a while, I did not forget to advise an important thing. To keep myself a really comfortable mind and tried to control his thoughts so that the evil magician could not control his mind. Hearing what I said, the man didn't quite understand, but he still said he would try. I realized that he was very worried from his words to his eyes. At this moment, Big D also came in from outside. When I turned around, he said, "Gregory, where are you getting ready? The sun has already set. Jack must be in action. The doors have all been taped with talismans, but I am afraid that it will be difficult to hold them off for long." Hearing what Big D just said, I immediately took action. First, I told the man to lie on the table. Then me and Big D used the enchanted red ropes to tie him to the table. The main purpose is to prevent him from moving or fighting while I perform magic. After fixing the man to the table, I immediately took a needle and pricked his finger. This is similar to Jack's. I will use his own method against him. After taking blood from the man's fingertip, I applied it to a straw dummy prepared in advance. From here on, I will begin to control that man through this dummy. The key to this is to see who is superior to the magic between Jack and me. Everything was basically prepared. We were about to come to the weapon part. Big D chose for himself a gun that looked quite cool. As for me, I prefer to use the peachwood sword. Perhaps because this is a weapon that my master uses often, I have a special impression of it. Now both Big D and I look at each other, both aware of the importance of tonight's battle, and the core of the matter is to keep the man out of Jack's hands. He is the last piece Jack is missing, so he will use all means to get this man. After talking a little more about the plan, Big D and I separated in the house, watching Jack's movements while taking advantage of rest. About 2 hours later, I started to hear rustling from outside the door. At the same time, when I looked back at the man, I noticed that he also had significant changes. First, his eyes started to roll up, then the face gradually became crazy, the mouth kept screaming. Looking at him like that, it wasn't hard to guess that Jack was officially in action. Because he was tied to the table, the man kept getting up to get out. At the same time, the straw dummy on the table also acts similarly, which proves that Jack is also trying to use the straw dummy to control this man. Seeing that I rushed over to the dummy table and started casting magic power, I knew that the battle between Jack and me had begun once again. But the difference is that we do not confront directly but through magic, although not directly. This battle is also extremely tense and balanced. As soon as the tip of the sword in my hand pointed towards the dummy, it was immediately pushed back against the table. Along with that, the man did the same thing. Looking at his expression right now, it was clear that he was very upset. This is natural because he is controlled by two forces simultaneously. Although it is uncomfortable, I have no other choice. If I don't do that, he'll just have to die. Big D's side was not idle at all. At this moment, right next to the door near where Big D was standing, there was also a swarm of bats. Big D angrily swore a few sentences. Originally, Big D and I predicted that Jack would use a dummy as he did against me and Big D last time. Unexpectedly, he used bats as a weapon. Although these bats are not as dangerous as humanoid dummies, they have the advantage in numbers. Claimed that Jack wanted to use them to harass us, distract us without being able to stop the man from coming to him. In the few seconds when I noticed Big D, the man was able to jump up and rip off the rope that was tying him to the table. It can be said that I am the most disadvantaged in the situation right now, because I have to focus on controlling the man. But for that reason, I can't resist the attack of the bats. Now that the man can sit up, it seems that in this battle, Jack is gaining the upper hand. I try to suppress the man. I tried to keep him back on the table, but it seems my distractions have affected my magic power, causing all my efforts to fail. The man managed to break the ropes that bound his hands, but his legs were still tied to the table legs, so he kept struggling to get out. At this point, it seemed that I had to use stronger measures to suppress him. I approached the table where the dummy was standing and picked up a handful of rice. I immediately mumbled the incantation. I had another disadvantage to keep the man safe. As for Jack, he didn't need to pay attention to it to be more comfortable casting magic. After I finished reciting the incantation, I threw the rice ball in my hand towards the straw dummy. Immediately, the dummy was pressed down on the table as if a normal person was suddenly hit by a pile of dirt. But what I didn't anticipate was that my throw was slightly stronger than it should be. It immediately took effect on the man. He was hurled hard on the table. The matter did not stop there. The table on which he was lying was also broken into many pieces. Just a moment of carelessness and the situation immediately worsened. Now I realize the consequences of my mistake. The man's legs are no longer tied. The rice grains controlling the dummy will quickly expire, at which point it will be difficult to control this man. What I predicted quickly came true. While I couldn't think of a way to control the situation, the rice grains had no effect. The man slowly stood up, his eyes now completely white and lifeless. He unconsciously headed for the door. I knew that he could soon reach Jack if I didn't stop him in time. The difficulty did not stop there. At this time, the bats also broke the door and burst into the house. After firing all the magazines without destroying much, Big D did not have time to change ammunition. He had to use the butt of the gun as a weapon against the bats. This time Jack used more bats than last time, so Big D had to fight very hard. Aggressive bats constantly rush into Big D. Their aggression and strength are also many times stronger than last time. This proves that Jack has prepared very carefully and is very determined in this battle. At this point, Big D can only use the butt of the gun to beat the bats, but he understands that this way does not work. Only charms or magic bullets can destroy them. While Big D was still struggling with the bats, the man also slowly approached the door where Big D was guarding. As soon as he saw the man, Big D knew that I had failed to control this man, so he quickly abandoned the bats, rushed to grab the man's shoulder and hold him. But beyond Big D's expectation, the man just flicked his hand to knock Big D away. The explanation for this is that the man has been completely controlled by Jack. That's what made him able to use all the potential energy in his body, so he could easily knock Big D away. Only pity for Big D. He just got hit by a car during the day. The whole body is still in pain, but now he is knocked down by the man, making him feel like he's leaving. Seeing that, I quickly rushed to help him. Big D, are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere? After a few groans, Big D looked at the man and said, "Looks like the situation is not good. This person has been cast by Jack for so long that his mind has been completely controlled. If you don't think of a way quickly, you won't be able to keep him much longer." Hearing what Big D just said, I lost my temper a bit and got angry, clenched my teeth. I growled one by one, "Damn mage, you wait, then you'll know my hand." In my mind at this moment, I have thought of a way to control the situation in front of me. This way is not that I didn't think of it at first, but my master told me to use it only when absolutely necessary. Looking at my face, Big D was a bit surprised at first, but then he gradually guessed what I was going to do. I immediately took my hand off Big D, quickly went to the refrigerator. I immediately opened the refrigerator, in which there were quite a few small bags of blood. They were all black dog blood. To get this blood, Big D had to spend a lot of effort to get it. He had to beg little by little from healthy dogs and then bring it back to preserve here. Seeing that his efforts have now paid off, Big D can't hide his pride. Only using black dog blood can increase control with the dummy, but this is not comfortable at all. After taking out a bag of blood from the refrigerator, I immediately raised my head and poured all the blood into my mouth. This is the annoying point I talked about earlier. The sensation of holding a large amount of blood in the mouth confirmed that it was not a pleasant experience. But at a critical time like this, there was no other way, so I had no choice. After pouring all the blood bags into my mouth, I sprayed them at the dummy. It immediately took effect. An immense invisible force acted on the dummy, pressing it down on the table. On the other side, the man was also thrown forward, rushing towards the door.